Picture this. You're in the back of an ambulance, and it is just someone's absolute worst day. I mean, pure, unadulterated chaos. Sirens blaring, family members absolutely panicked, the patient terrified. As a medic, dropping into a scene like that, you literally do not have the luxury of getting swept up in the noise. You just have to drop your gear, cut straight through the panic, and isolate the immediate threat. And actually, that gritty, pulse-pounding reality, that's exactly where the story of Pastor Kyle Straight begins. So today we're unpacking the anatomy of a crisis in this explainer, looking right through the lens of Straight Slate Ministries.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's an incredible dichotomy, really. On one hand, you've got Pastor Kyle's past, the ambulance triage, a world completely defined by physical trauma, blood, and just sheer panic. But contrast that with his present reality. He's totally traded the chaotic back of an ambulance for a quiet sanctuary inside a high-tech Dodge Ram ProMaster van. He's got this Motorola and Movo tech rig set up, and it essentially serves as his mobile command center. It is such a fascinating shift, right? Going from patching up broken bodies in a screaming ambulance to healing broken souls in a quiet mobile studio out on the open road.
I am so incredibly excited to take you through this unique journey today. Now, if you love deep dives into fascinating, unconventional approaches to life, community, and healing, be sure to like and subscribe. In this explainer, we're basically going to map out the ultimate nomadic rescue mission. We'll explore exactly how one man turned his life's work into a rolling beacon of light for people who literally have nowhere left to turn.
So to really grasp how Straight Slate Ministries operates, we kind of have to follow Kyle's timeline here, because honestly, nothing is wasted in his story. First up, his years as a medic. That taught him how to show up when things were bleeding and broken with absolutely no judgment, just critical care. Then he took that instinct to preserve life and spent 30 years as an investigative journalist. 30 years. In that role, he was constantly cutting through the fluff, seeking out the raw, unfiltered truth behind the headlines. Finally, that exact same analytical, pattern-seeking brain of his drove him to an online seminary. When traditional doors stood shut for him, he just used those journalistic skills to decode scripture, and what he found was this unbreakable pattern of relentless rescue.
And all of that history culminates in one single foundational manifesto. If you have nothing but a heart for God, you have everything you need. It's just incredibly powerful in its simplicity, isn't it? This one sentence guides everything they do. They aren't out there looking for polished people in shiny pews. Nope, they are looking for the last leg travelers, the isolated, the depressed, the folks buried in debt and despair who society has essentially written off as a total loss. They just meet them exactly where they are.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer, raw grit of their origins. I mean, way before the high-tech van, Kyle's first congregation was literally built in the dirt. He spent a Saturday just mucking out an old dairy barn. He drove a John Deere tractor to drag in hay bales to use as pews. He even tore apart wooden pallets with his bare hands just to build a pulpit. And for baptisms, get this, he pressure washed an old animal trough. That dirt and grit origin story, that's the very DNA of Straight Slate Ministries. It just proves you absolutely don't need stained glass or marble to create a sanctuary.
Which brings us to this beautiful concept they call being the brother's keeper. Because of his medic and journalist background, Pastor Kyle views ministry through this uniquely analytical, yet deeply compassionate lens. They literally consider themselves mechanics of the soul. Think about it. When someone's life breaks down on the side of the road, they don't just call a tow truck and walk away. No way. They grab the chain, they sit right down and meticulously backtrack the wires of that broken life, looking for the hidden spark the Creator put there. They aren't there to judge the breakdown, they just want to clear the trouble codes with grace.
So, you might be wondering, how do you take a dirt floor barn church to the masses? Well, you mobilize it. The ministry evolved into this highly capable mobile fleet. The foundation is a Dodge Ram high-roof van, which acts as their nomadic rescue hub. Inside, there's a Chrome desk command center loaded up with a Movo iVlogger kit and Motorola tech, totally transforming the van into an unfiltered broadcast studio. Top the whole shebang off with a roof-mounted Starlink dish for remote global connectivity, and you've got what he calls the classroom cathedral. This setup lets him bring authentic, raw mentorship directly into the backcountry, into forgotten urban spaces, or frankly, to anyone with an internet connection, all without losing an ounce of that original barn floor authenticity.
And this brilliantly illustrates the profoundly practical side of their mission. Straight Slate Ministries isn't just about spiritual mentorship. We're talking about physical survival on the streets here. They developed this tactical survival kit V1 specifically for the homeless and nomadic community. It uses a really fascinating two-tier security approach. The outer shell is a heavy-duty 5-gallon bucket that provides sanitation using, of all things, a pool noodle rim and a pop-up privacy tent. It is absolute MacGyver-level brilliance, but it also acts as a sacrificial kinetic barrier if things get dangerous. If you have to run, you ditch the bucket and grab the core backpack. That backpack holds the unreplaceable essentials: a high-tensile tarp for shelter, an inflatable mattress to get off the freezing ground, and calorie-dense MREs. It's literally dignity, safety, and mobility packed into one thoroughly researched kit.
But the crazy thing is, the ministry doesn't stop at survival. They actually have a blueprint for total independence. Take a look at this extremely innovative mobile recovery housing initiative. Instead of standard shelters, they use cab-over box trucks that have been retrofitted into one-bedroom modular apartments. And the path to graduation is 3 steps. Step 1, stationary recovery. The truck stays parked at a partner clinic so the resident can undergo clinical recovery. Step 2 is mentorship, where they learn crucial trades like plumbing and electrical work so they can maintain their own rig. And then, Step 3. This is where it gets incredibly empowering. The ultimate goal is nomadic independence. When they graduate, the ministry transfers the vehicle title directly to them. They don't just get a pat on the back, they get full ownership of their home and the absolute freedom to take on the open road.
Now, to really understand the urgency behind all these logistics, we have to look at the true human cost of a crisis. Pastor Kyle recounts this heartbreaking call from his medic days. A man was so overwhelmed by the stress of his life that he just went for a drive to outrun his nerves. He ended up getting into a terrible car wreck. Miraculously, he survived the crash itself, but the panic of the aftermath completely blinded him to his surroundings. In this state of total agitation, he stepped out of his wrecked car, walked directly into the middle of the highway, and was struck by a semi-truck. He survived the initial crash, only to be taken out by the panic. And the message Pastor Kyle screams from the rooftops is this: help is not too late for you. When your world falls apart, the panic is going to tell you to run. It's going to tell you to step out into the chaos alone. Don't step into traffic.
I want to pause right here for a second and speak directly to you. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer today. If you are watching this right now, and you feel like you are standing on the edge of that highway, surrounded by the wreckage of your own life, please do not take another step alone. Stop. Breathe. Let someone reach you. We've put together a Souls medkit for you right here. You can call or text 988 any time of day or night for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can text the word HOME to 741-741 to reach a crisis counselor. Or call the NAMI warm line at 1-800-950-NAMI if you just desperately need peer support from someone who understands. There is absolutely zero shame in calling for backup when the weight gets too heavy. As we wrap up this exploration into Straight Slate Ministries, I want to leave you with a pastoral blessing that drives their entire mission. The absolute worst moment of your life does not get to dictate the rest of your story. You are still here, and you are profoundly precious. So I'll leave you with this final, challenging thought. When the panic rises and the road ahead looks just too dark to navigate, will you take off the mask and let someone into the chaos with you? You are seen, you are heard, and you are definitely not finished yet. Keep fighting the good fight.